He only wanted money to save his wife, but one decision turned him into America's most wanted fugitive. Will Sharp is a decorated war veteran, but his life falls apart when his wife desperately needs an expensive surgery. With no one willing to help, he turns to his adopted brother Danny, a charismatic career criminal. Danny offers him one deal: help me rob a bank, and you'll never worry about money again. Desperate to save his wife, Will says yes. The robbery begins perfectly, but within seconds, everything goes horribly wrong. Will Sharp is a highly decorated Army veteran who has sacrificed years of his life serving his country. But after returning home, he discovers that being a hero doesn't pay the bills. His wife is diagnosed with a serious medical condition that requires an expensive surgery. The insurance company refuses to cover the full cost, leaving Will with no way to save her. Desperate and running out of time, he visits the only person who might help his adopted brother Danny Sharp, and like Will, Danny lives a completely different life. He's charming, fearless, and one of Los Angeles' most successful career criminals. Money comes easily to him, but almost all of it is earned illegally. Danny immediately offers Will millions of dollars for one simple job. All he has to do is join a bank robbery that Danny claims will be over in just a few minutes. At first, Will refuses. He has spent his entire life following the law, and the thought of becoming a criminal goes against everything he believes. But then he remembers his wife lying in a hospital bed and realizes he has no other choice. The next morning, Danny introduces Will to his experienced crew. Every member has a specific role, every second is planned, and the target is a downtown Los Angeles bank holding millions in cash. The crew enters the bank exactly on schedule. Customers are taken hostage, employees are controlled, and large bags of cash begin filling up quickly. Everything seems to be going exactly according to Danny's plan. But no robbery ever goes exactly as planned. One unexpected police officer walks into the bank at the worst possible moment. Within seconds, gunfire erupts. The perfect robbery instantly turns into complete chaos. The robbery is no longer the biggest problem, escaping alive is. As Will and Danny rush out of the bank, chaos erupts everywhere. During the shootout, a young police officer is critically injured. Moments later, paramedic Cam Thompson arrives in an ambulance to save his life. With police surrounding every exit, Danny makes a desperate decision. He hijacks the ambulance. Now the two fugitives are trapped inside, with a dying police officer and the paramedic trying to keep him alive. The robbery is over. Now it's a fight for survival. Inside the speeding ambulance, paramedic Cam Thompson does everything she can to keep the wounded police officer alive. The officer has already lost a dangerous amount of blood, and every passing minute brings him closer to death. Will begins to realize that this robbery has gone far beyond stealing money. Now an innocent man's life depends on them, but Danny refuses to stop. To him, getting caught means losing everything. Meanwhile, police officers flood the streets of Los Angeles. Every highway exit is blocked, helicopters fill the sky, and dozens of patrol cars begin hunting the ambulance. Captain Monroe immediately launches a citywide manhunt, ordering every available unit to join the chase. Inside the ambulance, the situation becomes even worse. Cam discovers that the officer needs emergency surgery immediately. Without treatment, he won't survive. Will wants to help save the officer, but Danny keeps reminding him that stopping means prison, or even death. As the pressure rises, Cam orders Will to assist her during the emergency procedure. Having served as a military medic during his time in the Army, Will still remembers basic trauma treatment. Following Cam's instructions, he carefully helps stabilize the wounded officer while Danny continues driving through the city at high speed. Outside, police vehicles crash into each other trying to stop the ambulance. The entire city is now watching the chase unfold. Inside the ambulance, Will starts questioning every decision that brought him here. He only wanted money to save his wife. Instead, he's risking innocent lives every second. Danny, however, refuses to surrender. He believes they can still escape if they keep moving. But the police are getting closer with every mile, and then Danny makes another reckless move that turns an already impossible escape into complete chaos. As the ambulance speeds through Los Angeles, Danny becomes more aggressive. He starts using the stolen ambulance as a weapon, crashing through traffic and forcing police cars off the road. Inside, Cam is struggling to keep the wounded officer alive. His condition is now critical. Will tries to help her again, but the stress inside the ambulance keeps rising every second. Danny is not listening to anyone anymore. He believes escape is still possible if he pushes harder, but then Police helicopters lock onto their exact location. A tactical unit prepares a full interception. The road ahead is completely blocked. The entire city is now fully mobilized against the ambulance. Roads are sealed, intersections are blocked, and tactical teams prepare spike traps to stop the vehicle. Danny refuses to surrender. He starts driving even more dangerously, using the ambulance like a battering ram to break through police barricades. Inside, Cam is fighting to keep the officer alive. His heartbeat is weakening, and the medical supplies are running out. Will is now fully involved in the procedure. He is forced to use his old military training to assist Cam in emergency trauma care. But the situation becomes even more unstable when Danny's driving causes severe internal injuries inside the ambulance. The patient nearly flatlines. Cam screams at Danny to slow down, but he refuses. He believes stopping even for a second means death or capture. Meanwhile, LAPD begins coordinating a final takedown plan. Snipers are positioned on rooftops, roadblocks are tightened, and a precision strike team prepares to surround the ambulance completely. Inside the vehicle, Will finally breaks mentally. He tells Danny that this is no longer a robbery, it is a death sentence. But Danny is too far gone, and then, the police first executes their final containment strategy. The ambulance is trapped from all sides. Surrounded by police from all sides, Danny refuses to give up. He uses the ambulance's speed to break through the blockade, but the police respond with full force. The chase turns into a massive collision sequence across the highway. Inside, Cam is still trying to save the officer, but his condition is now critical beyond limits. Will is forced to make the hardest choice of his life. Danny is injured during the chaos, and for the first time, he starts losing control. The final phase of the chase becomes pure destruction. Danny, now injured and unstable, continues driving despite overwhelming police pressure. The ambulance is badly damaged, but still moving. Inside, Cam successfully stabilizes the officer for a short time, but only barely. Will realizes that Danny is not thinking logically anymore. He is acting on pure survival instinct. As police close in for the final capture, everything collapses into chaos. A high-speed pursuit turns into a multi-vehicle crash sequence. The ambulance flips, regains control, and keeps moving through sheer force. But now Danny is critically injured. Will takes control of the situation for the first time. He understands that escaping is no longer possible. The only way out is surrender. Meanwhile, Cam manages to complete the emergency stabilization just in time to save the officer's life temporarily. In the final confrontation, Will faces Danny. Their bond breaks completely as reality sets in. Danny is finally captured after the last crash sequence. Will surrenders peacefully. The ambulance finally stops. Police swarm the scene. The wounded officer is rushed into medical care and survives due to Cam's efforts. Will is arrested. Danny is taken into custody, and the city slowly returns to normal after the chaotic chase. A desperate robbery became one of the most dangerous chases in Los Angeles history.